Hello everyone. Today I am setting up my seed starting station. I am starting seeds in about a week and a half, and my first round is going to be Gomphrena, and those I do soak about 12 to 24, somewhere in there, hours before I sow them. So if you are going to sow those, remember you want to soak them the day before. But I haven't started any seeds yet. And I know that might be a bit delayed for some people, but I still really like my downtime in the winter. And plus, I started seeds too early before indoors and then had to deal with them being very, very unhappy until I could get them outside. So it'll be, again, probably middle of this month that I'll start my seeds, and I want to get everything set up so that it's ready to go. Now, I did do a whole video going into the specifics of everything I use, so I will link that down below, but this video is just going to be me rearranging things and getting everything in place. Now, if you are looking for a very beautiful, well set up space, this is not the video for you. Well, two reasons. One, I don't start that many seeds because my garden is small, so I've never really invested a lot of money into the seed starting because I don't really do it on that large of a volume. And also I've just kind of been collecting random pieces over the years and kind of shoving it all together and seeing how it works. So it is kind of a mishmash of a bunch of items. Maybe someday I'll invest in something that's kind of all in one, but at the same time too, I only use this for a few months, 2 months out of the year. And I don't really like having something just sitting there the entire year if I'm only using it for 2 months. But enough of me rambling. Let me go ahead and show you where I'm going to put everything, and then we'll get it set up. So my seed starting rack is going to go right here in front of this window. So the door is here. That's the door I use to go in and out to the east-facing deck. And I like to move my rack in front of the window even though I am using grow lights because I just figure the more light, the better. So it does get some light in the morning coming through there, which means I need to move this stuff. I have boots and shoes down here. Those I'm just going to shift over. This plant, that does get moved throughout the year. For example, when I'm drying flowers, that's moved out of the way. I think for everything on the curtain rods, I will leave for now. I really don't need to empty these until I start drying the flowers for my garden, which will be, I'll probably harvest the first ones to dry maybe around July, herbs a little bit earlier. So I think that's going to stay, but I'll go ahead and get kind of everything else shifted around. Philodendron, I'm just going to move somewhere out of the way for now. And honestly, the snow boots can go downstairs. I don't even know why I have these up here because even when there's snow, I still just put my slip-on shoes on and just get snow in my shoes. So these I can just store downstairs for the actual snowstorms in Chicago that I walk through. And then this is, well, technically it's a serving platter that I got from a thrift shop, but I use it to put my shoes on. And I think it just looks really pretty. And because it wasn't expensive, I don't feel bad putting my shoes on the serving tray. But this I'm just going to shift to the other side of the door. Now we move over my baker's rack. So this is what I use as my seed starting station. I've just had it since maybe even 2017 or 2018. And I used to use it for houseplants, but now it is mostly for the garden. And I would say I usually put this, let me shift this carpet over, maybe about right here. And yes, that does mean I do wheel it every time I go out, but I'm still not going in and out that much, so it doesn't really bother me. But now I have some light that'll come in naturally. I have my grow lights that I need to get situated. Nothing really flows together nicely. It's all just pieces I've collected over the last few years. I really do like this baker's rack for starting my seeds. I like that it's on wheels. I can pretty much start all of my seeds on these shelves. I don't really need much more space at all. All right, so I have some lights that are magnetic. These are from Gardener's Supply. They're high output LEDs, so they don't have to be raised and lowered as the seedlings grow. Typically, with a lot of grow lights, if they're too far away from your seedlings, when your seedlings start to grow, they stretch for the light and get really leggy, and then they're not as stable as they would be. So I like high output lights because I don't have to remember to raise them up, which again, if I can cut any steps out of my gardening, I will do that. Now, these are fairly expensive. A pack of 2 is over $100. I forget exactly how much. So I am testing it against this light, which was also labeled as high output LED. It seemed very similar in terms of all the specifications to the Gardner Supply light. So I'm gonna try these. I think on some shelves I might mix them together. I'm gonna do one shelf just with these to see how it goes. But if these work the exact same as the more expensive ones, I always think that is a good solution. So we'll see how these do once I actually get my seed started. I do need a power strip because I'm going to be plugging in a few different strands of lights. Basically, each shelf will have its own strand, so all the lights on one shelf connect together, and then one strand will plug into my power strip. And this, I know where it goes, right here, after I untangle the cords. So I'm just plugging this in here for now. And it's also a reminder to make sure the cords are on the correct side. You might think, isn't that obvious? Yes, but I did set it up the opposite way once. Luckily, this is on wheels and I just had to turn it around. Everything works. Oh, it's bright. I turned the lights off so I can take you up close and not blind you. But basically right now, I have 1, 2, 3 shelves with 3 lights on them each. The top 2 shelves have a combination of the Gardner Supply lights and then the Amazon lights. I mentioned this in my other video, but another thing I like about the ones from Amazon, so I hope they work just as well, is that they are the entire length of the shelf. If you do have grow lights, you probably should measure your shelves and get lights that are that length. But again, this is what I'm working with. So top 2 shelves, a combination of Gardner Supply and the Amazon lights. And then down here at the bottom are just the 3 Amazon lights. That way I can see how whatever is on the bottom shelf will compare with the things growing on these 2 shelves. Now, I don't have anything on this top shelf because there's no lights above them, but I do have 3 extra lights. I have 2 Gardner Supply lights, 1 of the Amazon lights, so I feel like I need to find a way to hang them above it. I don't know what way that will be yet, but I'm assuming maybe I can get like metal crates that kind of look like this. I might have some somewhere. Some sort of metal structure that I can either zip tie, or the Gardner Supply lights have magnets that they can stick to, and then I'll just have another shelf if I need it. Now, even though there are 9 lights, I only have 3 plugs total, which is very nice because then I don't have a ton of different plugs and multiple power strips. So let me show you kind of how they all connect together. The Gardner Supply lights each come with connectors so that one can connect to a second one. So this is one side of the 2 Gardner Supply lights. Now I'm on the other side. So these 2 are connected again with the connector on, let's say that's the left side. On the right side, I only need to have a plug in one of them because since they have the connector, when I plug in this one, it'll automatically power this light. So then this is the cord that runs down to the power strip. The Amazon lights connect all together, which again is really nice. So here is the one light from Amazon that's on the top. There is this cord with the yellow in the center that goes down and connects to the second light. So the second light, which is on the second shelf. Now on this side, it's a little bit different. So this one has the yellow connector cord to the one right next to it. So if the lights were all right next to each other, like horizontally, I could plug them all in and just have one final plug that lights them all up. And then this is the plug that goes into the power strip for those lights. I'm back on the other side now just to show you this one as well. So this is, again, kind of that left side, the opposite side of the power strip. This is the light on the second shelf. This is the cord that goes down and it connects into here. So then this light connects to this light on the other side. And then this light connects to this light on this side. And then this light connects to that final cord. If these were all next to each other, it would kind of be like a zigzag. So it would go this way, connects here, this way, connects here, this way, connects here, this way, connects here, until you get to the final one that has the plug in it. I hope that makes sense. Most of the lights I feel like come that way. I would definitely make sure if you do have multiple lights that some of them can plug into each other. Again, so you're not worrying about a ton of different plugs and where you're gonna plug them into. Now that all the lights are working, the next thing I'm gonna add is a fan to give some airflow to the seedlings. I wouldn't say this is 100% necessary, but I would say it's very helpful if you do have a fan lying around. Now, could I get clip-on fans for every shelf that rotate so that it adequately covers all the seedlings? I could, but I'd rather not have to buy something if I don't have to. So what I'm going to use, and again, I've used it for many years and it's worked just fine, is this giant floor fan. And how I use it is I plug it in to the same power strip, and I just put it on the floor a few feet away, kind of angled towards the center, hoping that the airflow covers all the seedlings. Throughout the day though, because my office is right over there, I will just go ahead and tilt the fan up or down. But this at least gets my seedlings a little bit of movement, which makes them stronger for the outdoors because they're used to that movement, so their stems become stronger. If they've never experienced wind before you move them outside, the little baby plants can very easily break. This is also why you harden off your plants. And what that means is taking them outside for a little bit of time as it starts to get ready before you move them out completely. Let's say you start 2 weeks beforehand, you might put them out for like an hour in the shade, and then a couple more hours. Then you put them out in the sun for 2 hours, and then the shade for the rest of the time until they are out constantly in full sun. So this helps them get prepared for the wind outside. So again, is it necessary? No, I have started seeds without it, but if there was one thing after lights that I would suggest getting, it's some sort of fan. Something else I use for my seed starting station, which I would highly recommend you also get, is some sort of timer. So the power strip, right now it's plugged into the wall so I could test the lights, but when I'm ready to start my seeds, I will set this timer. Usually I do it 16 hours a day constantly, and that way the lights will turn on and off automatically. So this will go in the wall, then the power strip will go in here, and I have my fan and the lights all plugged into the power strip. So as soon as it kicks on, the lights come on, the fan comes on. When it kicks off at the end of the day, everything turns off. Seeds do need a dark period. It's not the more light, the better situation. So make sure you are turning off your grow lights at some point. But this way, everything happens automatically. Whether you're like me and will definitely forget to turn off your seed lights manually, or if you're out of town, which also happens while I'm starting my seedlings, even though I try to avoid that. So definitely also get a timer. I'm not gonna set this up yet because I don't want it kind of turning on and off, but once I put my Gomphrena under there, then I will set the timer with you. I also like to have a baster on hand. Thanks to a recommendation, I don't remember if it was on YouTube or Instagram, but with the trays I use, let me actually grab a tray really quick. These are the greenhouse kits that I use because everything you need comes in there except for light and water. But sometimes I will fill it with water and not all of the water gets absorbed, and I don't want the seedlings just sitting in excess water, potential for root rot. So I will take this. Well, what I used to do is carry this outside or to the bathroom, and it's kind of flimsy, so I would drip water everywhere and then dump it out. Then someone was like, just get a baster and then suck the water out. I put it in a pitcher, I keep going, and it's much easier and much less messy. So definitely recommend one of these. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think there is. So I have the lights on either with magnets or zip ties. Everything is plugged into a power strip, including my fan. It's going to be set up on a timer once I'm ready for the lights to actually kick on. And that's pretty much it. So it's not like I have a ton of items. I just wish they kind of all went together a little bit more, but it's worked really well with what I have. And again, this is basically the same setup I've done since 2019. The only difference that I'm testing this year is the lights. This will stay here from now until I move all the plants outside. And then after that, everything here gets stored. I could use grow lights somewhere else for plants if I wanted to, but I have separate grow lights for that. So these will all be stored until I use them in March of 2026. So that's why I don't want to have something that's just sitting here empty for most of the year. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. There's actually one more thing I want to add. Now, these videos, you might see them a few days later than when I'm actually doing the task. And I know a lot of you are waiting for me to start my certain seeds before you start those seeds. So what I'm thinking of doing is maybe on Sunday, posting something in the community tab that says, this is what I'm starting this week, because I don't want you to be waiting a few extra days. Again, it's not like it's 2 weeks off or anything like that. If you start them the day you see my video, everything will be fine. But I thought that might be helpful to at least say, here's what I'm starting this week, every Sunday, and then that way you can kind of do them whenever it works best for you. Let me know if that sounds like a good idea or not. Bye.